You only gave yourself 10 minutes?
Yeah, it's close.
It's like 45, because from the time I leave, I'm about 20 minutes, so.
I gotta reset my timer. You ready?
Everybody ready? Let's call this meeting to order. It's the January 8th June City Council meeting at 6 p.m. Our first order of business is the oath of office for 4 of us.
Yes,
What order do you want to do this
I was gonna do you first, Mayor,
in? Okay.
and then I need our
Sounds good.
photographer.
Okay.
Where would you like to stand?
Right in the middle.
All right,
What? Whatever works for you.
I like that, 'cause I'm not used to
Not
being
underneath
before.
your fancy camera.
Why not?
Yeah, wait a second.
If he's up in front, we can all be behind us.
That's right.
Pictures.
All
There you go.
Is that what the?
Is that,
And you're
Okay.
supposed to be centered with the sign.
right, here we go.
Gotta be back to that so they can see it anyway, don't you?
There you go.
This way?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Okay,
Look at this, woman.
done it.
raise your right
So,
hand.
that's how Jamie
Oh, God.
always- She never.
Okay, I state your name.
I, Edward McGuire,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Oregon,
the Charter and codes of the City of Dune City,
the Charter and codes of the City of Dune City,
and that I will faithfully perform
and that I will faithfully perform
the duties of mayor
the duties of mayor
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so long as I am in office.
so long as I am in office.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. All right,
Who's next?
Chris Clemens.
Is mine say mayor?
What was that?
Does mine say mayor?
No, yours says counselor.
Last time it said mayor.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, ready? All right. I state your name.
I, Chris Clemens,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Oregon,
the Charter and codes of the City of Dune City,
the Charter and Code of the City of Dune City,
and that I will faithfully perform
and that I will faithfully perform
the duties of City Councilor
the position of City Councilor
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so long as I am in office.
so long as I'm in office.
Perfect. We'll just need a signature. Congratulations. Yes, I'm gonna
Did that almost feel like when you got sworn in as a military kind of thing?
That was much harder.
say
You just memorized military.
The way he was standing, I was like, that looks just like military right there.
All right, Larry.
Memorize our military.
Right.
Back and forth.
I state your name.
I, Larry Farnsworth,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Oregon,
the Charter and codes of the City of Dune City,
the Charter and codes of the City of Dune City,
and that I will faithfully perform
and that I will faithfully perform
the duties of City Councilor
the duties of City Councilor
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so long as I am in office.
so long as I am in office.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, I know.
And then you actually can take your position.
Duke.
No, I know, but then I was just telling him he can take his position up front. All right, Duke.
I kind of like that. I think it was next to Duke last night. It was way over down the other side, so I kind of like it.
Ready?
Ready.
Okay. I state your name.
I, Duke Wells,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I'll uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
of America,
of America,
the Constitution and the laws
the Constitution and the laws
of the State of Oregon,
of the State of Oregon,
the Charter and codes
the Charter and Code
of the City of Dune City,
of the City of Dune City,
and that I will faithfully perform
and I'll faithfully perform
the duties of city councillor
the duties of city councillor
to the best of my
to
ability,
the best of my ability,
so long as I am in office.
so long as I'm in office.
All right, congratulations. Awesome. And you can take your position now? Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Done.
All right, very good. Like a picture of all of us as.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I guess if let's, everybody?
Well, we can all be seated.
I didn't wanna come in the pictures, I want the camera.
The whole, just make that face. It'll be fine. That's me. That's yours.
Well, good, nice to meet you again, nice to see you, I should say.
Richard, good to see you. Thank you.
Whose camera we have to look at first?
The one in the middle.
Wait till you get seated. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Did you get it? One more. I'll get out of the way.
Okay.
Oh, did you get it?
All right, thank you.
You want to see if that's?
Eyes open.
Thank you. Congratulations, welcome all. And next item of business is roll call. We have a complete council. Yeah, we're all here in the county court. Please join me for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Item 5, consideration of the agenda. Do we need to change anything or, okay, I need a motion.
I have a question, is this
Yeah.
a regular session or deemed a work session?
I think they're just, tonight we have an ordinance to review, but I think they're all regular now.
Okay.
Because I think we have one action item and then a discussion.
Okay, just wanna make sure we're all
Okay.
right halfway there.
All right. Any changes or adjustments needed? Anyone have any concerns? If not, entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Chris. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, that's unanimous. Next item is 6. You have some correspondence from the power
Yes.
company? All right.
Yes. So we have been trying to negotiate the franchise agreement with Central Lincoln PUD. And also, at the same time, Mayor and I met with them to discuss, the lights, the street lights in the city. And we found a few that were ornamental lights. And they decided that it's more prudent for them just to give us a discount. So as of this month, we've already saved $99.33. So it's gonna be, that's our savings. for now.
Ongoing, right? So for those that haven't seen the power bill or the way they calculate it, there's a rate for ornamental lights, regular street lights, and then there's what was that?
We have a little Century light.
Yeah, it's called Century Light. We need to check on that, but the standard street light is a lower rate. The ornamental light is not all that ornamental. And the cost of changing it out to a standard light, they said wasn't even worth it. So they'll just discount the rate and give us credit. And there's also a few we've also deleted since we've met with them and discussed them. There was a couple that were like at a private street for a subdivision. So anyway, the fee we get back from them is already maximum, so there's really not much else to negotiate, but we'll have a new agreement one of these days. Thank you. Any questions on that?
So the lights are the ones that are where, besides here, I mean, which streets are lit?
Anywhere that it's a public street, and then there are some pieces that are county. So that was some of the stuff we were verifying, that we weren't paying for a county light. If you're on part of Clear Lake, you're in the county, and part of it, you're in the city. So basically, there's the lamps that over time, the city has asked with new construction, and we're not sure what the methodology was, because they're a little bit random. They're not at every intersection. There's a few that are not at an intersection at all. There's some that, some intersections are lit and some intersections aren't, but anyway, those were probably with new development. Somebody said, oh, there's 5 houses on the street, we'll add a street light. And
Okay.
so it was requested through the city at some point.
I see.
They install them on their own pole, and then we pay for the power and the maintenance as a lump sum item per street light. All right. Next item is 7, citizens input on items not on the agenda. We have one name. Geneva, did you want to speak now or on an agenda item?
No, I just signed in.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Anyone else from the audience have a comment or anything? If not, we'll get into our business item and then we'll probably have another opportunity for discussion. So, new business item is rules and procedures of council. So we've had this handbook for some years, and I believe it came from, was it Lane Council of Governments of League of Cities? It's these example things to make sure we comply with state law, but there's a few things that probably need adjustments or additions. So Lila's gone through this. The stuff in red is additional language for mostly clarification. But this basically governs our operations in compliance with the city charter. So, I don't know if you guys have had an opportunity to review it or not, but
The revision red that come from an example, or?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yes. That was the example from it was actually from Elgin, City of Elgin.
Okay.
Yeah.
so some are just clarification. They don't change what we normally do, like public hearing. It's a recommendation. Public hearing will be held with a regular meeting whenever possible. That just saves us some time and effort of advertising and posting, that sort of thing. But it can still be called as needed if you had a requirement, so
So are we going page by page, or we just, if we have any concerns?
either way.
So I would concern page 2,
Okay.
just basis on the fact that you were saying that they were all regular sessions, should work sessions be, that word should be changed?
I don't know. In the past, when we were meeting once a month, that was our only regular meeting. So anything else became
Or work
a
session?
special meeting, and yeah, we would say, this is gonna be a work session, and there wouldn't be action, it'd just be a discussion, but now we're scheduled for 2 meetings a month. Should they all be regular meetings, and then anything that's not the regular meeting would then be identified as a special meeting or a work session or an executive session or whatever it is.
I thought it was good that it was in there, because sometimes we want to just work on something and we want to call it a work session.
And you could, right. So it's not a shall, right? It's if you want to label it
If we
that.
want to.
Yeah.
But the difference between the work session and the regular session is work sessions will not make
We don't make
decisions.
any decisions.
We don't make decisions.
Right. Generally, it's just discussion.
So the 2 meetings are considered regular meetings, they're not work sessions, and work session would be
I
something
think
that
so
is
now.
scheduled.
Yes, because we usually have
Out of
a work
context,
item,
so-
and like this one, we have for action, and then the next one, the ordinance is just for discussion, right?
That's one of,
If we cover all the concerns, then we can act on this. Otherwise, this would just be discussion. If there were any questions, we'd kick it to the next meeting for approval if necessary. So that's a good question.
On page 3, there's a block about basically a cutoff limit for adding new content.
Yeah,
I would specify calendar or business days.
okay,
It just says 7 days.
right.
Just
Oh, this is.
eliminate any ambiguity.
No, calendar days, right? That's 1 week in advance.
That's true.
We've been trying to get them posted a week in advance, and then when we get those last minute, I'm not ready, can I move that up that item? If we've already posted it and published it, then
Okay.
we shouldn't be, we can continue that item, but we can't delete it. We're not gonna remove it from the agenda and republish. It gets in a lot of work and cost, so, yeah, 7 calendar days. That works.
I had a question on the distribution of ordinances
You're on page 4.
on page 4. 24 hours isn't much time to go through a new ordinance, so could we make it 72?
That was one of our previous concerns.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, I mean, we've been trying to get agendas ready 7 days in advance. So if we can publish 7 days in advance, certainly the backup is part of that. I mean, it's probably 7 days, because usually Lila will email and say,
Well, we haven't given to us 24 hours in advance, that's not enough time to
no,
go
but
through.
going forward, yeah, we're
So I
generally.
don't want that 24 hours.
No, gotcha,
I want at least 3 days,
okay,
at least.
yeah, that's fine with me.
7 days is great, but I don't know if Lila can always meet in 7 days.
Usually, I don't have an issue, but I mean, if there's something, you know, I mean, I can't always,
No.
can't say always.
Well, that's a fair question. My opinion is when you're putting together an agenda, if you don't have all that backup when you're ready to post the agenda, then you're not distributing late, you're early for the next meeting, right? Because you put people in a pickle, like you don't have enough time to read the ordinance, so. Yeah, my opinion is it should be ready when we post the agenda, and, maybe you wanna say 5 days instead of 7 days or something, just have a little cushion in there.
Yeah, it takes time, because people have other stuff
And then
in
you
their life.
have
and-
almost the whole week of, yeah, if you're gonna review it before the meeting, you know, that's helpful.
So 5 days
And when we
prior.
review them, that's what we've been trying to do, you know, she sends them to me way in advance to get ready, so
5 or?
let's say 5
Calendar.
5 calendar days for, yeah, that way it gives her a little window. I like that. All right. Yes, Carl?
On this section?
Yeah.
Yes, if everybody's done with the content, I have another comment I'd like to make.
Okay, let's get through the content.
Yeah.
Chris,
No, not content, there's some indenting stuff, but that's,
okay,
like A's versus ones, it's not substantive.
All right, Rich?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Susan?
That's what I had.
All right,
All clear.
good, all right.
Okay,
Go ahead,
so,
another.
I read through this and it's good material. Reflecting on, the history here in Dune City and also in other small towns around here, I thought it was quite interesting, that Florence adopted what they call city council norms. And those are two different kinds of norms. There's interpersonal and behavioral norms, and then there's procedural and process norms. And I don't know if any of you have read this, it's
Yeah.
kind of a one-page thing. And the effort that they made was to assist the citizens in not getting mixed messages. So the idea was that messaging from the city, you know, it would be good if all of us answered emails from a citizen, because then they'd say, well, mom told me this, but dad told me that.
Right.
So the message gets conflicted when you're visiting with a citizen. So I don't know if any of you have read this, but I think it's a great document. It doesn't apply to Florence or any other place. It's just generally how to operate as a cohesive group. Even when we disagree, we can disagree and not be disagreeable. And then we can rally to supporting the decision of the group as a whole and move forward as a council. And I know this council already operates really well, but there have been times when this council has not operated very well in the past. And some of these behavioral norms might be good guidance for us down the road. And there's some really good stuff in here. We will exercise humility. When we have a concern with a council colleague, we will address those concerns in a timely, respectful, and constructive manner, things like that. Another one here is, you know, council members may reply directly to emails, calls, and so forth to acknowledge the message was received. However, they should take the appropriate time to reflect and coordinate with staff and council on an answer before responding. So it's kind of like speaking with one voice. So, for example, I live on Cloud 9, you know, there's potholes in my road. I could talk to every one of you, get a different view or position or promise about that. That wouldn't be very productive. So it'd be better if the council as a whole was able to speak to that issue in a uniform way. So what I'd like to propose, and I like this document, I'd also like us to consider maybe we should have our own city council norms, and I can send this out to everybody, and you can look at it, and if you like it, you like it, if you don't, you don't. But I think it's a great way for people to work collaboratively together, and there's no harm, no foul here. It's just good, respectful behavior.
Yeah, why don't you send it to Lila and we'll,
Okay.
so these are just for our review and our adoption, right? So we could adopt another page later if we wanted to. Okay, yeah, send the link to Lila and we'll distribute that for
You betcha.
review at another meeting, and then could become part of this if we so desire. So with that, if it's just formatting, we could approve this tonight, right? This isn't an ordinance or anything, so this is for our own benefit, and then for reference by the public if they want to read it. Okay, so,
Adopt as amended, right, we amended those two items.
yeah. And then if you have formatting or anything, yes, and you mark it up or whatever.
Yeah, if it's not a full ordinance, then that's easy.
Yeah, okay.
You can tweak that.
Now, if everybody's good with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Motion, I'll
Okay,
make a motion, okay.
thank you, and a second. Thank you, Rich. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Next is a discussion on chapter 91. So we introduced this, boy, 2 months ago now, right? But, so we started looking at the nuisance ordinance and then had a bit of a discussion, and then we looked exterior, got a couple of other examples that are in your backup from Lane County and
This one's Newport.
Newport, right, city of Newport. slightly larger city, but, there's lots of good examples out there, so anyway. I think we cover a lot of good material in our nuisance ordinance, but we have some definitions, and then we have a whole lot of things that are called out that don't have a definition. Like hazards that are only attracted to children, and we don't have a definition of children. Like, is it an age group or physical size? Because some of them are, 1.5 cubic feet. I don't know if you can drive by something and go, oh, that's definitely 1.5 cubic feet with a lid. That falls under the nuisance ordinance, that's a tough number. That's at least measurable, though not easily measurable. And a lot of these are not measurable, like lumber that is attractive to children. A pile of firewood that's not attractive to children is okay, but a pile of wood that is attractive would be a problem. I remember when I was a kid, I would climb on anything. Every hill and every hole was appealing to a kid with a bicycle, so. Having said that, I didn't propose revisions to all those, I just highlighted them all and go, these are hard to measure. It just makes it very, very subjective to drive around and measure. And the one that is measurable, the noise one, I hate our current wording for noise. If a person with normal hearing, whatever that is, can hear it after hours, that's not a noise standard. It needs to be some number, 65 dB after 10 p.m. at the property line or whatever it is, where you could go there and measure it
Amount.
and be able to measure it again if it continued to happen.
I think the standard measure for noise is 95 dB.
Well, that's usually like noise like hearing damage, but quiet hours, it's usually like a much lower number. But yeah, it needs to be a number. We need to do some research and potentially invest in a noise meter if that's our.
Any college issue.
Yeah, there's phone apps that do a pretty decent job. And if that's one of our bigger concerns, then yeah, it needs to be measurable and,
The examples I found were exactly in line with that.
Yeah.
65 during the day at property line and 55 at night.
okay,
Quiet hours, and then we deem quiet hours starting at 10 p.m.
right.
55 at the property line.
Lane County is something I'm more familiar with. Quiet hours are 10 to 7.
Yeah.
We've got 7 p.m. and in the summer, that never happens, right?
Yes.
It's light until almost 9 o'clock at night and
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
there's no way it's gonna get quiet.
Yeah, I would say quiet hours starting at 10 is reasonable.
I like that one too.
Rich, you disagree?
It ain't gonna work for me at 4th of July, so.
Well, there's also exceptions. There's also exceptions for
Special events permits or whatever, yeah.
Like I know there's some places that do karaoke over in Westlake night and they carry on till all hours, but it happens twice a year and you just move on,
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that this is just if you can't come to a compromise with your neighbors. If you're having a party and you
Invite the
invite them, or at least like,
Karaoke is really good.
yeah.
It's really bad.
They have a microphone, you can hear it throughout Westlake,
Yeah.
it's loud, but we know they do that, it's a fun thing that RV Park does, it's okay.
Yeah, when Joe said his neighbor, I think it was high school graduation time, he said the neighbor had a band and they went way past 7, but they were really, really good. So I used to have that problem. I think they had 3 high school kids, because every year there was music and swimming and,
Well, it's
till big
karaoke.
day.
Some of the karaoke is really, really bad, but
Oh dear.
they have fun.
All right. So we're open to either go line by line and revise ours, adopt someone else's, one item that has come up repeatedly in Dune City, let me find the page, is, on page 5, right in the middle there, item C. No person shall knowingly place, deposit, distribute, store or scatter food, garbage, or any other attractant, known as food, Okay, to knowingly constitute a lure, attraction, or enticement for a deer, raccoon, bear, cougar, coyote, and/or wolf. So we have a don't feed the deer sign, I think in 2 spots, which I think was a hot button some years ago, but that is regulated by the state. All those, none of these are domestic animals, and I don't know, I mean, they eat my grass and my flowers, my bushes, so I'm not sure if I've contributed to the problem or not. I didn't know that I had bushes that the deer like, but I have a lot of deer, so. I know they eat birdseed. My neighbor feeds the birds, and then he's also feeding the deer now. And I said, what do they eat? He goes, don't tell anybody. I'm not here from code enforcement. What do the deer? It was birdseed. They sleep underneath his bird feeder, and the birds kick stuff everywhere. So anyway, I don't know what, if anything, I mean, every once in a while we get a phone call, what are you gonna do about it? And I'm like, you're asking me nothing. I mean, the deer wander in and out of yards all the time. Go ahead, dude.
I was on the council then when that was going on. There was a problem with people feeding, taking apples and all that
Okay.
stuff and luring deer in, and they were getting into their neighbor's stuff and eating their flowers,
Okay.
you know. So that's where the signs came from.
I have an apple tree too, and I
Yeah.
spray it with the stink spray, and they ate most of the apples this year, I think.
Right.
So I didn't do it on purpose, but they
From
got
what
it.
I've seen, the signs haven't kept the deer away.
No, I don't think they read English.
No.
Although I think the population's down a little bit, we've
I
got a
think
few
it is
cougars.
down a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some of them moved there to my house, so.
We got a comment, somebody wanted to know what we do about the cougar population because they were eating deer. It was like, that's, no comment, that's how it works, yeah.
I was gonna say that some of the stores sell boxes of deer apples, which is exactly what Duke is talking about, is that people, they sell their bruised apples.
Gotcha.
People are feeding them to the deer, so
Yeah.
it's,
Well, we had a resident that was feeding them popcorn, and
Not good for the deer.
that's not that good for
Right.
them. So, you know, you gotta, that's the kind of stuff you really gotta stop.
If I recall, and Duke can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at the time, the Department of Fish and Wildlife or the state highway department wouldn't do anything about it. So Dune City put this in the ordinance to stop people from feeding.
Yeah.
Because those that were doing it weren't being held accountable by anybody, so they did it to try and get some control of it, because it was a pretty bad problem for a while. And the deer really looked bad too. But I don't know, I say we leave it, but that's my 2 cents.
Okay.
I'd like to see the wolf, that's what I want to see.
Yeah. Well, you got bait the deer and then feed the wolf. Wait, strike that.
We live in their
I was
domain.
getting ready to say that, thank you, I mean,
Yeah,
we're in their world,
yeah.
in their house, and
And we have a list, you know, what I don't like is when you have a list, it's presumed complete. And there are other things out there. I almost ran over a possum last night, crossing the road. So there are other animals. It doesn't imply that it's okay to feed some wild animals. If it's not your domesticated animal, or you're not invited to your neighbors to feed their domesticated animal, then, you know.
Well, there was a resident that was feeding the ducks on Silkoos, and they would feed the ducks, and of course, they would lure them up to where they would feed them by their house, so the ducks would play, and then the cougars would get them, and then they'd get mad because the cougar ate the duck, and it's like, you asked it to come up by your house.
It's a circle of life thing.
Well, would this statute, or this paragraph be better if it just said wild animals?
Probably.
That way you don't have the issue of possum,
Right.
ducks, and.
But some people do like to feed birds, that's not.
yeah, but I think it is covered somewhere else in here that birdseed is, accepted.
Yeah.
We're not
Is
going
it?
out and throwing birdseed in our
Yeah.
roadways,
Yeah.
and
I have sunflower seeds. I got bird feeder, but.
some of us can't put birdseed up, because then, even in our own yard, so the bear just goes right through the fence. So, I like, what Larry had mentioned, just put wild animals.
Okay.
can also attest that, you know, how many of us have not intentionally put our trash can out for the trash man and it's, you know, been taken over by a bear, so. So one person's interpretation.
So is bird seed in here? Is it in the nuisance ordinance or is it somewhere else? You know, you think,
I've
I
never
read
read
it
in
somewhere.
another ordinance saying
So birds
bird
are
seed was
exempt.
okay.
Yeah.
all right.
We've been in this section, in the Newports, where they actually put birds.
Oh, maybe see that. So if we get to a noise standard that's immeasurable, like during daylight hours and during quiet hours, I got the same page, 91.052, it's on page 5. Using an engine or device that is so loaded, out of repair or operated in such a manner that it creates a loud or unnecessary grating, grinding, rattling, or other noise. If we could strike that if we just said it's X amount of dB at the property line, whether it's an out of tune engine or a stump grinder. If you were a code enforcement person, how do you say that is a unnecessary grating or grinding or rattling noise?
Well, the thing is.
Amongst all the choices for noises, I guess.
Okay, if you say that it's gonna be 68 dB at the property line, I'm here to tell you that it ain't gonna happen. If you got an excavator in there.
Yeah, well, and then if you have a
Something like that.
construction permit, a lot of those are exempt from the automobile noise regulations, right? Backhoes, dump
But
trucks,
even if you don't,
chainsaws.
even if you don't have a construction permit, I'm allowed to have a piece of equipment on my
Right.
property
You do
at any
anyway.
given time
Yeah.
to do what I need to do, correct?
Right.
So then we got to be able to allow for that type of
Yep.
stuff as well, so.
I was
I
gonna
don't know how the DB works, I guess. I get the DBs, you gotta figure out something, but
I think the hours of operation are more important than the
I agree.
decibels. I think that run firm on that and enforce that hard, you
Right.
know.
It's
Whatever
quiet at
hours in the
night.
morning to the evening, enforce that hard. We live in a rural area,
Right.
and we're constantly losing, I use them all the time, chainsaws.
Yeah.
I think louder than a chainsaw myself is a leaf blower.
Yeah.
You got
Some of them
decibels,
are.
they're going all the time.
and these electric ones aren't any quieter. I'm here
Really
to
not
tell
too
you.
much
I
quieter.
got two neighbors that have
That's
electric
to make
ones.
a different sound, yeah.
They're
Still
way
making
louder.
So
I agree, if we just struck them and said, if, you know, construction work, maintenance work has to occur during daylight hours,
Yeah.
unless there's some special permit for something you had to do at night, but,
From 8 AM to,
yeah, right now, if Newport's 10 to 7, it's quiet hours, 7 to 10 would be,
yeah,
where I used to be, we had work hours is like 7 to 6, and then quiet hours were 10 to 7, so it was a little nebulous what you can do between 6 PM and 10 PM.
I would agree with that one. Where you have a construction time of
Yeah,
7,
cut construction.
we'll say
off.
7 to 6.
Yeah.
7 AM to 6 PM. And quiet hours are 10 PM to 7 AM.
Yeah. So
Most
it's not
cities
quiet.
construction 7 to 7.
Okay.
Perhaps, is it possible to have wording in there for emergencies, you know, our trees go down how
Yeah.
a lot?
Oh, yeah.
At
No,
5 o'clock in the
emergencies.
morning and someone needs to get
Usually,
over a block road, I
that's
mean, we have to be able
right.
to use.
if the road's closed,
A
the power
chainsaw.
company's here, yeah, we don't tell the power company they can't fix something at 2 AM.
Well, we have
so-
some citizens near us that will just, for their neighbor, go and cut the tree up that went across Ford, so.
some examples cited in other ones are emergency vehicles, public events that have an issued permit, or utility repairs, snow removal, that doesn't apply to us,
Yeah.
but anything that isn't supported in public.
What was if it would be just a citizen doing it, rather than waiting for a public utility to come out? I mean, I know you would
Gotcha.
probably do it the
I've done it
heartbeat.
many times.
We've done it in many, you know,
Yeah.
the whole Ford was blocked
But it's still,
And
Your neighbor's.
somebody did come with chainsaws.
Why are you out here cutting this tree out of the road? I'm trying to sleep, like, hey, you're doing that.
No,
for
but
the-
yeah, I just wanna make sure that someone doesn't hold us like, well, you didn't put that in, so I'm gonna, have this vengeance out for my neighbor. And I'm gonna call and report them even though they're doing something
they,
for the road or
I
something.
think the chances of being cited are pretty small for us.
My
Just wanna
thought
make
is,
sure.
if we had a power outage and somebody started their Briggs and Stratton generator and they're powering their house overnight, they're gonna be using that during sleep hours. And so, is that an exception?
If power's out, yes.
Yeah.
It's like, it would seem like, if somebody was using a Briggs and Stratton generator for a week, when there's power available and they just didn't pay their bill, that's one situation. But if it's like a storm where there's been power lines down, using a generator is a reasonable thing to do.
Right.
But it might be a good idea to delineate, like what Melissa's talking about, and what Duke is talking about, emergent circumstances, removal of trees and logs, and lack of power.
I would like to point out too that having a decibel rating at the property line would be much different for most of Dune City than it is for Westlake. Westlake neighbors, smaller properties, so decibel rating for them probably doesn't make a lot of sense. Having the hours of operation is probably better.
Yeah.
But you still have to have some kind of limit, like no noise in quiet hours?
I'm just saying, somebody can have noise
Yeah.
on a 1 acre lot, that's a lot different than having it on a 1/4 acre lot.
Right.
Yeah, but if it's measured at that lot line, it's measured at the lot line. Because you have the same standard, like in Newport and tiny lots as well.
Yeah, I think the hours of operation is probably your only defense.
That's probably the best, yeah, no, I agree. Quiet hours, just saying it's quiet, and then picking that number wherever it happens.
And if,
You certainly have an advantage on a big lot, you can be very far away, but,
Well, some of the houses are right next to each other, like 20 feet, so even at 55, the other house could probably hear it.
oh yeah, you would still hear it, but at 55, it's like, that's considered quiet. If you shut the door and, you'll hear a faint hum, but it's not inside.
I just know some people would be still complaining, so.
Well, I think no matter what you do, some people are still complaining.
so if you had a very firm neighbor on decibels and they were complaining, the citizen could appeal and we could rule in their favor if we decided that was unreasonable, or that was reasonable.
Which is
So,
also what we
we're-
have in our.
Right, we're the check and balance
Yeah.
if there's disagreement on this.
Same, if it's not an area-wide power outage and somebody says, well, I had power, I don't know why they run a generator, and then you find out, oh, because 2 streets didn't have electricity, and,
Well, earlier this week, across the street from us had power,
yeah.
my dad and I were out, so.
And I had power, and they said, we apologize for the power outage. I was like, I didn't have a power outage, so,
I
yeah,
did.
evidently, some of us did and some of us didn't, yeah. All right, so there's a lot of possible markups here, I don't know how you want to do this, or, Chris, whose ordinance were you reading on mine? Is that, you have another community?
No, that was an AI generated one.
Ah,
I asked Chad what the
gotcha, would it go in?
standard was, and they had some great input.
Yeah. So,
Chad.
oh, chat.
Oh, I was like, now we have names, wow.
You can, that's a
Yeah.
whole different thing.
Your virtual assistant.
I think Newport has some good stuff for AI, so
Yeah,
you
right.
can
There's a lot of information.
Yeah.
But, you have to sit there line by line and compare them to see which ones you want done and not. But I think they have some good definitions and some good things that would probably be good to add.
I mean, you should go page by page like we've done other ordinances.
Well, that's going through our ordinance. I'm talking
Yeah.
about there's stuff
Yeah,
in the
no,
other
yeah.
one that needs to be added.
Or
somewhere.
do you like,
Absolutely.
do you like theirs better, and it's easier to go through theirs line by line? Or, did you reach out to League of Cities by any chance?
I did, they didn't have one,
Okay,
not for nuisance.
okay,
Because they had some stuff that didn't work for ours because it's not a rural area.
yeah.
you know, all the stuff about sidewalks and everything.
Right, you could probably just strike.
Personally, I found Newport's easier to read,
It was.
and I liked it, but I think, you know, you don't have, like, Counselor Snow says, there's some things in here that don't apply, but I could be happy with either ordinance, but I think it might be better just to take Newport's and strike the language that doesn't fit in our rural area. You know, adopt it.
I agree.
Yeah, it's-
Ours has some odd
Yeah,
phrase.
this would be so easy to adopt and just make a couple of changes here and there.
I just wondered, because I didn't go through it, to go, okay, this has this has this, is there something we take Newport that we're missing that's in ours that should be, added? Yeah, because you'd have to go,
Limit to section by section.
you'd have to go subject by subject to make sure you didn't miss a subject that might have to be there.
Yep.
So yes, I like Newport's, I just was striking a lot of stuff as I went through.
Now, for example, on page 294 of the Newport code, they cite a number of ORS sections. And before we were to adopt this, we'd have to check and make sure those numbers are still accurate, because ORS numbers change a lot.
Yeah.
For example, under noise disturbance, I'm not sure what NMC chapter 8.15 means. So we'd
I
want
think
to
that was
know.
I think that's a Newport, that's their own code.
Oh, Newport Municipal Code, right. So they've got other code written that this refers
That's
back
why I had
to.
them all circled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their
So
problem.
I'm just thinking it, you know, I really liked reading the Newport Code, but I just thought, okay, well, there's gotta be some reference on a few of those items that wouldn't be too hard to clean up, I don't think.
Yeah. That whole attractive and dangerous to children is popular language. Here we got lumber, logs, firewood, building materials, placed or stored on property in a manner to be attractive, dangerous, and accessible to children.
I highlighted that myself.
Three-pronged test.
Yeah,
Attractive,
yeah, I had that one.
dangerous, and accessible to children.
To me, it's almost crossing the issues up. You're wanting to have nuisances, but then they throw for the sake of the children in, for the sake of the children. It's like they're trying to protect it for children rather than a nuisance thing. I don't
You've
know.
got a pile of firewood and there's no children next door,
Yeah.
You're okay.
you're probably okay. Yeah, that's a tricky.
One thing I also noticed is, I don't believe our code, I could have missed it, but our code doesn't give us the right to initiate a fix and then place a lien on their property.
Right,
on
private
think-
property?
And the Newport code does. It has a process for saying, okay, you gotta fix this.
Yeah.
Here's your timeline if they don't. And we felt like this was more immediate, it needed to be addressed. We could address it, fix it, and build a homeowner.
So,
Wouldn't that be underneath our code enforcement that we just?
yeah, we can, we had this conversation with our attorney,
Yeah.
and, unless it's public safety, like there's a fire or a police action to go on site, and Newport has their own police department, then there was a whole process to get permission to enter. And so you had to start with asking, and if they said no, you know, and I won't fix it, then you had to go to court to be allowed to get in. So yeah, the question was, it's got to be a pretty big deal for the city. That basically our advice at the end of the day was, you're better off finding them than trying to fix it and lien them, because it's quite a process to get to the point of going on site for the fix.
Yeah, so like.
If it's not clear date, public danger.
Understand. So like if you had a big oil tank that was leaking into the lake.
Yes, that would be, you could call the fire department and say, we need immediate action, there's
Right, I got you, okay.
potential for fire and contamination. Yeah, so something like that you can, but if you said, well, we really don't like their 3 spare cars, and they've not done anything about it, unless we believe they're leaking or a fire hazard,
I see.
then they're more of an eyesore. Yeah, and the advice was, it's quite a step to get there. Be careful.
Like under the fence portion, for Newport's, section A, it says no person shall, or no person may construct or maintain a barbed wire fence or allow barbed wire to remain as part of a fence along the sidewalk or public way. I mean, I don't see where that could even possibly be, something we could use here, because, I mean, we're more rural than that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, places where people have animals and different things.
Wire fence.
So basically, what we're saying is if we adopted the Newport code, we'd have to go through and strike out a few of these sections
A few things.
and make the language look like it belongs to be the city.
Yeah.
Or do we like it better than the one we already have?
Well, we need to see also if there's something in ours that we need to add to that too.
Yeah.
So,
There's just more pages.
that's because they're formatting it very.
Yeah, I think it's more comprehensive, but you're right, we gotta strike some that don't make sense here and then make sure we're not losing something that.
You know, here's another one with the children. It's like unguarded machinery, equipment, or other devices such as, on such properties that are attractive, dangerous, and accessible to children.
Is that in order?
I mean, how do we-
I think we both have that, yeah, that's a hard one to make.
Don't
Yeah,
leave the
this is-
trash out, don't leave
Yeah, it's
it.
in, Newport, so I mean,
Yeah,
how
ours
is
is
it?
almost exactly the same.
Yeah,
Especially if it's on your property,
I know.
you need to have some parenting skills here to keep your kids off property and climb on somebody's equipment,
Yeah, I mean,
a
if
little bit.
it's on your property, that's trespassing to start with.
Mhm.
Yeah, but what 8-year-old doesn't want to climb on a backhoe?
Everyone.
Every one of
I
them.
know. It's the most popular thing, you bring a piece of equipment out and it's a magnet.
do we have to be that young, or can we just be adults who wanna go climb on
Well,
it?
that's why I said there was no definition of children, because a lot of people are attracted to sirens and tractors and.
Newport's is nice, cause it's nice, it's clean with the words and whatnot, but I think in order to adequately pull it for Dune City, we have to go by page to pull what we like and what we don't like in rural, make it more rural like we represent. I don't think we have time tonight.
I don't know, do you want to start that
We can.
now? Or everybody just take it home and highlight and make red marks, things that should be taken out, and bring it back.
I would like some time, if we're gonna start with Newports, then to go line by line, like,
But would you like to do that here, or you want to do that on your own and then just come back and say?
I'd rather have a first pass solo.
Okay,
Yeah,
right, that's probably easier, yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
So are we, as a council, do we decide to basically scrap ours and go with Newport's and build a whole new one, or what are we gonna do?
well, compare. So,
Or are we just gonna bring something together that's gonna be a combination of both of them?
Both, I think it's gonna be both.
right,
But start with Newports as the template and mark that out versus trying to mark ours out.
and then if there's something you love in ours, circle it or whatever, and we'll put all the pieces together.
Mayor, as a whole, I read through this, and I think there was about 40 pages here. My first thought was, it'd take about 20 pages, about half of what's here, compare this down. Yeah.
Right.
there's some good stuff in here, but there's,
And I,
you gotta remember it's Dune City.
no, I appreciate that, because a lot of times when you do this, people start thinking about the future, like, what if we did have sidewalks on every street? What if, and then we start adding, and it's like,
Yeah.
we're 100 years from having sidewalks on every street. It's kind of pointless. It sets up a contest, right? People start calling, it says if there's a sidewalk, there's not, but there's a little piece of curb,
The problem with Newport is it's getting closer and closer to Portland all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I like that. That's probably more efficient than us all sitting here and having sense of time, so. So if that makes sense, this was just discussion. We'll continue that to a future meeting. We basically have the January 22nd meeting, the agenda done, and it's gonna be a busy night with an appeal. So there'll be a public hearing on there and a presentation with the Water Master's office. So how about in a month, which is not actually a month, it'd be the 3rd Wednesday of February, whatever date that is, our second meeting in February.
For this
Yeah, for
That might
everybody to
be
be
the
prepared. Does that
first.
make sense?
meeting,
Wouldn't it be the first meeting
Yeah.
of February? The 5th of February? Because that's
Okay.
technically
Oh,
our
you're right. I'm on the wrong date.
work
it's
session
only
of
the
some
8th.
sort.
Yeah. Yeah, first meeting in February. Okay, so we'll come prepared,
Work session.
highlight, do whatever, yeah, and discuss that again. Okay. All right, if everybody's good with that, item 11 is executive session. We have no need for an executive session, I believe. Item 12 is for the good of the order. And before we get to that, for the audience, the Newport stuff is in the backup. It's been published, right? So it's available. We have copies if somebody needed to print that or whatever. Is that?
I can add that, I did not put that
Okay.
in the packet, but we can add it.
Because it's from Newport, it's public information, but we'll make sure it's available. So if anybody has comments to that, to the city's code enforcement or the Newport, something you love or something you hate, mark those up, for the first meeting in February, for comments. And with that, we'll go down the table. Let's start, I don't know where to start. Larry, anything for the good of the order?
Just honored to be here.
Thank you. Chris?
I have nothing.
All right, Rich?
Congratulations to everybody re-elected and those that are new,
Yeah.
or old.
Old New.
Old new.
Thank you. Susan?
I was just gonna congratulate everybody and welcome Duke and Larry onto the council.
I would just like to say and remind everybody, it's a brand new year, it's a brand new council, so let's all work together, including our citizens, to make the more appropriate pathway than where we have been in the previous years.
All right. Okay, thank you. Duke?
Pleasure to be back. I actually missed it. Might need some mental help on that one, but I enjoy doing this.
Just such
I like working with the people. When I ran a long time back, it was about property rights and citizens' rights, and that hasn't changed for me.
Sure. All right, thank you. And the only, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to, I had some things, so just when you're done.
Okay, I was gonna say, we have, the legislative session's about to start. There's an opportunity, the deadline is this week. Did you sign up for the Go to the Capitol? Were you gonna, okay, so we have an opportunity to sign up to go to the Capitol, as an entity. Anyone can go, if you have the time. The deadline's coming up, and then the date is, I think it's like February 22nd. And it'll be, council or county commission from all over the state going to Salem. And they actually put together a program, and there's scholarship opportunities for small towns, because they'll put you up in a hotel and feed you if you wanted to attend. And then with that, we're getting information like the Water Caucus wants ideas for grants and that sort of thing. So one of our current challenges, we talked a little bit about this earlier, and they changed the dates, and anyway, they want to draft on Friday, so I started working on one of them. Our water rights situation, where we transfer them to, the water rights that were given to the city when it was incorporated are transferred to individual property owners as they pull a permit to build a house. And then that's its own process to have it metered, report back. You got to report for 5 years to pay for your water rights. Well, this has been going on for like 10 years, and we've got a meeting with our attorney, this attorney that does the water rights tomorrow, because we're making very slow progress, and we're gonna try to get a number and say, how much to put all this together, because we're just chipping away at it a tiny bit at a time right now, and, so anyway, I'm gonna ask for a number, and I'm gonna put that in there and say, that would be our next request, is to take care of all the rights before, there's all this talk about, we should build a system and do this and do that. If you don't have any water rights, all that is pointless, you know? So, in theory, things could be revoked, but then individual citizens could apply back to the state and start over, and so we're trying to avoid any of that. I mean, it's not like the lake is going away, this is a paperwork problem right now, and water rights, and we may need a water rights surveyor and this law firm, but anyway. We're gonna ask for some money, and we're trying to figure out how far, you know, it's hard for us in the middle of this has been going on for years, to say, how much is the whole project worth, how much are we asking for? But the city certainly made a huge investment in the past of, you know, most of the services are now metered and measured and read, and, so there's been a lot of city investment already, and so, because they always want to know, you know, if it was a 50% match, what's your share? And I'm thinking, we've got 10 years worth of sweat equity in this, and a lot of meters, and, you know, a lot of work's already been done, so. So anyway, I'm gonna try to complete that this week, and, you know.
Mayor, are you going to go to this session?
I did not sign up, no, so we have an opportunity, it's in Salem, so it's a bit of a trip to get there, but I can forward you an email if you're interested. Do you have an email address, Duke? Do you want a copy of that to
No, I
consider?
don't have an email address, no, I don't need, I've been to it, I did it
Okay.
once, yeah.
Okay, I'll forward it to you.
Way out of my
They just
daycare.
sent a reminder, and, it's a great opportunity if somebody goes, you know, it's not like you're gonna go there and vote on anything, it's just more, you get to see how the sausage is made, and it's good to make an appearance, and, so anyway. So that's all I had. You had something else, Lonnie?
I did, actually. I just wanted to say that we did advertise our first event. It's going to be a game
Oh,
day.
yes.
Here on the 25th, it's a Saturday from 1 to 4. So we've already gotten some volunteers to help with some food and some snacks, some beverages, so everybody's invited. So make sure to tell everybody it is in the newsletter and it is posted. But yeah, make sure you let everybody know.
Yeah, we'll bring some board games and whatever, card games, backgammon, whatever.
Yeah, we have a lot of games ready. Yep.
Yeah, and for Larry and Duke, we did the community survey, and I can print a copy of, well, you have it, right? You have the printed version, so we can make you a copy so you can see all those results. We started talking about city events, and we started out thinking about the triathlon, and do we do that sort of thing? Then when you read the comments and the average age and all that, we're like, we're thinking about the wrong events for a lot of our crowd. So we've got some presentations coming up in the near future, with like Peace Health on, you know, health and wellness, and we've got an insurance company and an attorney. They may do, you know, we can talk about wills and probate and planning and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's changed, you know, having seen all the comments, it's changed where we think maybe some of the event should be, and LCOG runs the bus system. LCOG has a program for rural Lane County, and we're gonna give them a date. They have a van that's just for like medical appointments for the coast and the rural areas, and so we're gonna plan an evening, they can come with the van and all the programs and all their handouts and everything, because they offer a lot of stuff that's specific to the coast and the rural parts of the county, so hopefully it generates some interest, you know, it's for the residents, I mean.
So good.
Yeah, all right.
I have one
Anything
more. Yes, I do.
Yep.
Also, because the water master will be here on the 22nd, she's bringing, I believe, her boss. So she was hoping that if we had any questions specifically that you wanted to ask her, she could get those questions in advance, so she'd be able to, again, because we, you know.
Be prepared, yeah,
So if you can please let me know, that'd be great.
all right.
Just as another meeting, we also have the spring conference for alcohol down in Mill Casino in North Bend on May 1st and 2nd.
Okay.
You guys didn't get that email?
Did that come today?
No, that one came last week sometime.
Okay.
It's the 2025 one, so.
All right. Have you ever gone to one of those?
Sure have.
Was it good?
It was good, that's what we went to. Breakfast for
Yeah, that one's pretty close, because the first one, when Lila was appointed and I was the mayor, the first one was it Roseburg?
So, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get much notice and, you know, it's a bit
It's
of a
nice because
wall,
you
but-
get to see that, Florence was there, so we got to talk to a few of them.
Right,
And it was nice, for a beginning council member, it was nice.
right.
It's also a great reminder for older
Correct.
seasoned council members, so.
You get free.
I should look that one up and send it out to everybody.
Okay.
We're not close.
We
got
brought
nice
back
stuff.
lots of books and everything, and gave to all the council members that didn't attend, so
Okay.
you can bring back a lot of stuff too.
All right. All right, anything else?
I was just thinking about the water rights. It had to do with getting control of, from the state was the weir from Mohegan.
Mm-hmm.
Has been any movement on that?
You know, we asked Susan about the dam and the weir, the water master, Susan, and she said as far as she's concerned, we're fine. That we have an easement to both, or the dam is privately held, but is regulated by the state, right? The water operation plan, the depth and the gates and all that. And we've had some challenges. All the electronics have been replaced, the motor controls and the motors, so all that works. She said structurally, the dam's in great condition. They did an assessment last year.
It is.
And so she said, we don't care if you own it. I think Jamie thought it would be safer if we owned it. And so that was on her list of things to do, but Susan said, if you have a right, you have a right. You don't have to worry about it. It's fine. I mean, and
Well, that's
so.
180 off from what it was that we worked on for years to get control of that property.
Yeah, and she said, unless they're trying to, the owner's trying to change it or do something, and the owner's not, she said, I don't care if you own it or you don't own it. It's hard to get to physically. I mean, we have a right to get to it. It's physically hard, but it also doesn't need anything.
Right. It
You
is.
know, if the water gets deeper, it just continues to go over, it all goes downhill, so. So she didn't think that was too big of a concern, and she had no concerns with the dam, other than they weren't, since that property got sold, they weren't operating it per the terms of the permit, and they are now. They got fined last year after we started complaining in January, and Rich was watching real close. They ended up getting fined because they weren't, they gave them lots of warnings, they weren't reporting in a timely fashion. So they ultimately got fined. It looks like we got their attention because they replaced the controls and the motors and everything's working, so.
That's very different from where we
Yeah.
were at.
Yeah, and, yeah, so anyway, there was a lot going on in their office as well, and, so yeah, Susan came in and met with the two of us and said, happy to come back, so yeah, she'll be here on the 22nd, so if there's any questions, from us, she'd like them in advance, she'll come very well prepared, but, she'll be at the beginning of the meeting, so.
One of the questions that we would like to have answered would be, when or how are we gonna go about requesting the change in lake level that we've
I think that'll
discussed?
be a part two after some of this other stuff.
Yeah,
Now that they've got all the motors and everything, because that was a different group than her, and when I asked that, he's like, we would support that, we don't see why not, and that needs a public hearing. And we were just talking about this, because we had that conversation in January of last year, and he said, that'd take about 30 days. And I said, really? That'll take more than 30 days. No, we could probably have this something set up 30, 45 days. It's going on a year.
Yeah.
But a lot has changed, because at the time, the dam operator was non-responsive, and, and we had structural problems, we couldn't operate some of the motors, and
yeah, it just ran into this
So-
different shit.
now that all that stuff's taken care of, it's easily operated and kept in those parameters, and we'd like to raise that parameter potentially a foot.
Yeah,
The low mark and the high mark, and I think that would help everybody.
thank goodness we got done with the rain, because what most people don't realize is when we started out, the lake level, when we started into the rain, was 6.65, which is pretty low.
Yeah.
And we're now just crested or just under 11 foot now, which is right on flooding for some people.
Yeah,
And
and everything's wide open now, right?
and everything's been wide
We
open.
got 2 feet of rain in the last.
Everything's been wide open since that time, which is clear back in October.
Wow.
So, we're talking the first part of October, second week of October, somewhere right in there. Basically, that dam, for the most part, has been fully open. And when we started doing with the rain, it was at 6.5, 6.6.
Wow.
So we've gained that much with the rain that we've got.
I know this year,
A lot of
and
water.
it hasn't rained in 2 days, but the first 5 days, we got 9 inches of rain.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, even with the dam being regulated in a proper manner, I mean, we're still borderline
Oh,
on the edge of flooding just because of the amount of rain we've got. And what a lot of people don't realize is there's almost 800,000 acres of drainage that feed this lake.
Yeah. I rode my bike out towards Ada, and those pastures are a foot deep.
Yeah.
All the way out, like 5 miles, a foot deep, the water's running, it still cruising, then once you get over the hill, it's running to Logan Gate, so there's a lot of water coming in still. A lot of water.
But one of the things that we've got to really look at that would help this out considerably, and there's emails somewhere in this office, and I think I've got them on my computer at home, that Fish and Wildlife, or the state that controls the river, actually gave us permission to go in there and cut anything outside of 5 feet of the shoreline
Right.
to get those logs from holding the water up, because basically what we've got going on, for the most part, if some people don't understand, is all the logs that are in there are basically creating a secondary dam structure all the way down through there. So it's holding the water back, and that's not allowing the water to escape in a full manner like it should. So at some point, if we can get enough people together to go down through there and clean that out once every 5 years or something, would be a great plus.
Yeah.
Fish and Wildlife did, or not Fish and Wildlife, county did contact me, and they want to get in and go down below the dam, which there's a log down below the dam. And it's been complained about so many times by so many of the kayakers that the county's actually gonna do something about it, which is odd.
Is that the one that blew down last year?
No, it's been in there
It's been
for
down.
2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, every year it seems to have created havoc
Yeah.
with the kayakers.
But the other problem with that is what's causing that are the motorcyclers that are running down the hill and pushing the sand and everything down the hill into the river on that corner in there and plugging the river up. So, I mean, there's, and I told him, I asked him, I said, when are you guys gonna go out there and mark that off and quit allowing the motorcyclers to dive down in there and plug the river up? So there's kind of a threefold deal going on with that river that needs to be addressed at some point.
There's actually a couple of spots on that river too that are over-covered with some trees
Yeah,
that make it difficult to pass.
yeah.
When I last went on, I think we had 3 spots. It was a little bit difficult.
But I mean, I've got a flat deck barge that'll work perfect going down there and take care of that. We just need to have enough people to get it done.
Make a difference.
Yeah.
So,
All right, anything else? Lila, got anything? All right, well, then we will adjourn this at 7:13. Oh, shoot, I need a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
second.
We're still not used to that. All right, all in favor of adjourning? Thank you. Now can I do?